Alright, so this is my third video of me making my steampunk gun. If you haven't seen the previous two videos, just sum it up, it was a Nerf Vortex Praxis. That's what it's called. It's one of the new Praxis guns. one of the new Vortex guns from Nerf. Shoots the disc instead of darts. Anyways, this is day 3. I've been working on it all day again, trying to get as much done as I can before tomorrow, which has no real significance other than friends are coming over. Anyways, so I've gotten quite a bit done today. I've actually gotten the gun reassembled. I had some problems with it initially, which was, let's see, the trigger didn't want to pull. I had to put it back together and take it apart quite a few times, probably like 3 or 4. The trigger wouldn't pull. The cartridge that I would put up inside of it, it wouldn't lock in, or sometimes I couldn't get it to release. And that was basically it. I did use this though. This is liquid fire. It is lubrication that you would normally use on a paintball gun. I went ahead and I used it on some of the spots inside my gun. No reason not to. It doesn't hurt plastic. Just, it only helps as far as I know. Let's see. Well, anyways, so I've gotten a decent amount done. I guess this is it. Okay. This is just leaned up against the microwave I have. So let's do this stuff. Okay, this is what I've got so far. And like I mentioned in my very first video, I haven't done anything with the stock at all since the first video. I've just initially spray painted it and that's it. I've been working on the main portion of the gun and the barrel and making that stupid scope. That wasn't difficult. Well anyway, it's about the stock. As you probably saw, there was still orange showing through on it. That's because I haven't tried touching it up and I haven't done any kind of weathering or added any kind of anything to it really. So out of everything, I'm working on the main portion of the gun. Well, I guess in sections there's this. Okay, so that's my pressure gauge. I actually did have quite a bit of problems with it. Well, technically I have problems with it, which means I'm going to change it. As you can see, it's probably difficult to actually see inside of it. That's because I used super glue to hold it together. And I guess the fumes from the super glue made my plastic piece I used for, well, that's for that part. It made it really cloudy and foggy on the inside, and you can barely read anything through it. So I'm going to change that. I had to add a little piece of wood behind that so it held the actual gauge flat. I got that put on, which is the keyhole. And I got the hole cut in the back side of it. And I believe this is the key that ends up working for it. Little bronze key, so that's cool. It just fits right in. And then once it's inside, it's kind of wobbly. But if you turn on all the way, it wedges against something on the inside, which leaves it in. Aside from that, I made the scope. The scope isn't done, but it was hard securing it to the actual gun. Like I mentioned last video, this is a portion of flashlight, as is the front part. And I had no idea how I was going to mount it to the gun. This here's inside of a light switch. Normally this square section would have the switch that flicked back and forth for on and off for lights in a house. And the two portions where you normally screw that in, well, I'm doing exactly that. I'm screwing it into the mounting rail. Aside from that, these two pieces, the actual bars holding up the gun, those are pieces off the caps of pencils somewhere. Here we go. Okay, so a piece like this is like the cap that you'd click down on a mechanical pencil. This section underneath I cut off. So it's really hard, thick plastic. I'm using it for the supports for the scope. This one here, since there's actually a hole on top, I was able to drive a screw down through the flashlight piece, down through the pencil piece, through that, and into the gun. This one, I couldn't. There's no hole in the top. I suppose I could have made one, but there were big head screws, and it's hard to drill a hole that big, at least with what I have. Anyways, that one's actually coming from the bottom side, from underneath this light switch piece, up through that and into the gun, but not too much. Actually, and I have one pipe down there done. The other side has like the brass tubing, but one's not completely attached, and the other tube isn't. It's just a wire right now. Anyways, that's the front of the gun with my scope. They're made out of the paper clips. Hey, it's horrible. But yeah, that's basically looking down the scope. Anyways, looking down the barrel. Here's the other side. Other side. We got this little thing, which is something I found in the shed. Don't have a clue what it is. I think it was... Oh, that's the top piece of a kazoo. Anyways, I imagine that would be a place where steam could vent out. I have the CO2 cartridges attached now. And like I mentioned, there's a little lever thing you push on. The bar holding them on. These pieces are pieces of mechanical pencils as well. They kind of arc upwards to actually hold on to the cartridges. And this is one tube that goes down here to this little piece. The other one, as you can see, is just the wire. I actually have the tube right here, but I have yet to put it on. In general, that's mostly what I've accomplished today. I mean, it may not seem like a lot, but it's a lot of work. And I still have all these little holes, like right here. There's just the screw holes, and I'm filling them in with these little brass fasteners I have. So it doesn't look like there's screw holes outside the gun, which is a plus. So yeah, I guess my next part of business is to continue working on the scope area. I need to cover up that gap somehow. Not sure if you can see it. And I need to redo the gauge, but I'll get around to that last probably. Just because it'll actually involve me having to actually pull this off and hopefully not messing up my wood pieces and having to redo the piping, and it's a lot of trouble for a stupid fogged thing. Let's see what else. Oh, there's the Nerf cartridge right here. I'm going to sit down this iPod for one moment. And basically, it goes in... It goes down a little bit harder. I put in a stronger spring on the inside to hold it. So that's what it looks like with the cartridge in. I still haven't done anything with the cartridge yet, so you can still easily make out the word Nerf and Vortex on it, unfortunately. I actually think it looks pretty good with the cartridge. I'm happy with it, but as I mentioned in my past video, I also have this piece of a water gun that also looks like a big canister, similar to the CO2 ones. And if I get this cartridge out here, come on, it's a little difficult to get out unfortunately, but it's out. Anyways, this, it fits in here just fine. It gets to about there, and it just pushes in the last bit of the way. And it stays in by itself. It's not screwed in. It has nothing securing it other than just the tightness of it. I also believe that this looks good, but not sure if I'm... Well, the cool thing is I can keep both, and they're easily changeable. If I can't figure out how to cover up the Nerf one with it looking good, this here will be the main one I use, but basically what it boils down to is I have my functioning Nerf cartridge, then I have this one which is just a decorational cartridge. The gun doesn't work at all with this, but it does look pretty cool. I mean, if I'm going to some kind of convention or some other place where I may be cosplaying a steampunk type character, my costume, I might end up using this. Maybe. I like the complexity of the other cartridge. It looks kind of cool, but this also, it looks less like a Nerf gun? I don't know. But anyways, last thing, I'm going to need 2 hands for this, so I'm staying on my video for one more moment, is I have this. It is a brass hook. I'm not sure what it's supposed to hook onto, but I know it goes onto the wall and it has a screw in the back. Well, a threaded spot. And not sure if it'll just be decorational. I'm going to see it on my gun. Okay. Convenient. Okay. Not sure if it'll just be decorational, but I kind of want it to be back over here on the end of this circle piece. I do want it back there, and basically just the gist of what I have left to do is work on the scope area some more, fill in the screw holes with the little screw fasteners, do anything and everything with the stock. That's just completely uncharted territory. And then I get to do the leather working. I have this piece of leather here. I'm not entirely sure if I'm set on this piece or not. I feel like it may be too dark for the gun, but I could just be wrong. It might end up looking good. But it's the biggest piece of leather that I have. I want to make the grip down here for it out of leather, and a leather under grip up here. But that is it so far, the left side of it. I'm pretty happy with both sides. Also these random little gears and cogs. I was going to just affix them right here in kind of a pattern type thing. Either way, I feel like both sides of the gun has a good amount of detail, and I'm really happy with it. Anyways, this is video 3 of me making my Steampunked Nerf Praxis gun. Anyways, later guys.